Ariel, if I could marry her brain, it would be amazing.
If you need anything technical.
She is down to earth. She's fun. She's very easy to network with.
Anything systems oriented.
Just anything web dev techie that I don't understand, Ariel has swooped in and fixed. And she's my accountability bulldog.
She is a queen.
Anything infrastructure related.
She is helpful, and she helps guide and answer all your questions that you have about growing your business and networking and getting started.
She gives me life. She just gives me life.
Ariel Reynal is your girl. Welcome to the TrepTECH Podcast with your host, Ariel Reynal.
I just want to marry her brain. She's a genius.
Welcome to the TrepTECH Podcast. I am here with the exciting, the wonderful, the phenomenal Ariel Reynal. Ariel, what's going on?
Whoop. Hi, Scott. How are you?
Excited.
Yay. Hi, listeners. Thank you for chiming in. I can't even talk today. So I'm just going to be quiet.
No, I'm excited because I'm sure you've felt this, Ariel. You put in a lot of work on something and you put it out into the world and you know it's going to be either that it sinks or it floats. You hold your breath and you hope. Well, we now know that our marketing and sales funnels work.
Good.
Yeah, Podcast Bay. We know our stuff is actually doing what we need it to do. And I know that because I set up 3 sales calls this week. Everyone qualified.
Nice.
Yes. Haven't made all the sales yet because 2 of the sales are coming tomorrow, but have made 1 as of today. Got a new client and she ticked all of the boxes, which is awesome for us and awesome for her because it'll make her easy to work with.
Congratulations.
But we kind of that's not the exciting part. The money's not the exciting part. It's that we now are not going to waste our time talking to the wrong people.
Yeah. So tell us about that whole process. How did you get there? How does it look now? Because pre-qualifying is huge.
It is huge.
And it saves you time.
Yeah. And the nice part about pre-qualification is it cuts out most of the problems people are afraid of, right?
Uh-huh.
But a lot of people don't know where to pre-qualify. And that's the part I just figured out recently, and I'm so glad I did.
Go tell our audience what you learned.
Yeah. So people on the show have probably heard me talk about sales processes, and I mapped out my really simple funnel one time, and so people know that I know my sales process. But what was happening with my sales process was that people were coming to me, but they couldn't afford me. Or they were coming to me and they didn't necessarily want the whole entirety of what we were doing, just bits and pieces.
That whole affording you thing, that is where I need to work on pre-qualifying people. So how did you explain and exhibit your value and your prices in order to pre-qualify them? So I know you're talking, I just wanted to throw that in there.
Yeah, no problem.
So make sure to touch on that.
Well, it's good because then I can focus on that specific component in the example. So you can pre-qualify people for affordability. You can for if you get along or not, that's important because we did work with a lot of people who I didn't really get along with so well. They didn't really match our flow, so to speak. Expectations, do you want us to jump through hoops for you, or are you going to actually give us 2, 3, 4 weeks of lead time? You could pre-qualify for all of that stuff. And believe it or not, that starts in your marketing funnel.
Okay. I need details.
So the way marketing and sales are 2 different things, but one leads into the other. Marketing and sales basically kind of hug each other.
Okay? Right.
So marketing is everything that goes from, who is this interesting person? What do they know? All the way to, I'm going to get on a call with them to see if I'm interested in buying from them.
You know what I just realized? I'm the marketer in the group and you're the salesman in the group.
Likely. Very, very likely, actually. And so,
because I love marketing, the whole aspect behind marketing, and you love sales.
Yeah. Marketing fascinates me a lot too, but it's something I'm approaching very slowly and taking my time with. I'm not like diving headfirst into it because I'm a bit of a turtle. I move very slowly and methodically. And so with marketing, like it was just a matter of, okay, a marketing funnel leads to my sales funnel. So my marketing funnel sucks because I'm not getting people who can afford me or people that I like.
Mm-hmm.
So if I need people who can pay me my rate that I'm going to enjoy, how do I attract them, right?
Right.
So the first thing I did was I looked over my content, and it was all very general, like little tips and strategies here and there and things like that. It didn't really put out our personality at all.
Mm-hmm.
So personality is how people decide if they like you or not, right? Like your character, your morals, your personality, how you get on, how you speak, how you behave. So if my page was devoid of personality, I'd probably be getting a lot of very generic, bland people or just people from all over the place.
Uh-huh.
So the first thing I think you need to do in your marketing funnel is to make sure that it's soaking with your personality. Type how you type. Do a live video every now and then. Make sure there's pictures of yourself all over it. If you're a smiley person and a happy, bubbly person, make sure you're smiling and happy and bubbly in your stuff. You know, like
Mm-hmm.
capture.
That's how people connect with you, and that's how you build rapport.
Right. So we looked at that. That was missing. We changed that. You know, my producer and I went out, we did a live, and then we were like, okay, well, what can we do with this live to make sure that we're getting the right kind of people? And I said, why don't we ask people, are you a good podcast host?
Mm.
And we went and we listed all of the things that make a good host and talked about why we like working with these kinds of people.
Got it.
So we said we want people who are coachable. We want people who are not afraid of investment because this stuff costs. We want people who are willing to collaborate and learn and, you know, share and grow. We want people who are goal oriented. We want people who are, and we just talked about who we wanted to work with
Mm-hmm.
in our content.
Okay, got it. Kind of like the post I made several months ago about my soulmate clients and like what they think and everything. But I think I need to add to it like who I work with. Like, this is not you.
Yeah.
If you're like this, you're not ready to work with me. I'm not ready to work with you. It's at a certain level and a certain mindset that I'll take on people.
You could literally jump into your Facebook profile right now and write, I no longer work with lazy people. I'm out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
I
done.
no longer work with people who don't pay, who are not willing to invest in themselves.
Oh no, you don't even have to make a list. Like you could literally just go up there and say, I'm not working with lazy people anymore. I'm out. And people would put angry faces up there. People would put happy faces and laughing faces up there. People would put like, you go girl, good on you, all that stuff. But then there's a bunch of lazy assholes sitting there who are going to self-identify and go, okay, I'm not working with her anymore. She called me lazy.
Mm,
Even though you didn't call that person lazy at all, they know they're
right.
lazy.
So which one should I do first, the lazy or the non-investing?
You know, you could do either. Just, but in the investment side of things, just write, you know, I would phrase it more like, if you're coming to me, be ready to invest.
Yes, I love that.
Something simple like that, right? That kind of content will end up bringing you a lot more value than just posting like a random tip, right? Because that will polarize people in your direction. Another thing is like, as far as price point goes, set the expectation that you're a hefty investment, even if you're not.
Makes sense.
Okay. Like when Jesse and I get on lives or do content, like I tell people, like, if you're coming to us because you want us to take over a massive part of this workload. This workload takes you 8-10 hours a week, if not more. We're giving you 10 hours of your life back every single week.
Wow.
You better be
That's a
ready
lot.
to invest. You know, like we have a team of people. So like when people come to Podcast Bay now, they know that we cost money. So we're no longer getting people saying like, oh, can I give you this to check out for free? Or would you mind putting your ears over this? Or would you, like, people don't do that to us anymore.
I'm glad.
They used to, because we didn't actually set in stone that we cost money. So now all of our stuff is like, if you're coming, like I always joke around with the team, if you're coming to us, bring your wallet and your A game.
Mm-hmm.
That is our message in our branding. we made that shift. We were like, we want to put out content that not only helps people and informs people, but says, don't waste our time. If you're looking to hire us, you need to be you need to be serious. You need to be committed to learning, and you need to be able to put your money where your mouth is, because if you're going to be eating top ramen because you started a podcast, that's not a life for you. You know, like we want you to be able to afford this without stressing about it.
Right.
We want it to be easy for you, because then it's easy for us, because then we don't have to chase you for money.
Yeah.
You know?
And then they get you the stuff on time because their morale is high.
Yeah. Right. So like by us setting that,
They're just better clients all around.
Yeah. This episode is a perfect example. Look at everything I just said there in conversation with you. Anyone listening to this now knows exactly what my beefs are and who I'm looking for and who I want to work with and who I want to avoid. So if someone's sitting there going, oh man, like if I were to start a podcast right now, that would be a bad financial decision. They know not to come to me. Right. Like, because they know that I'm looking for like long-term sustainable growth. And if you're struggling now, you're going to be struggling later. Take this money that you would put into a podcast, fix your struggle, then come back to me, and I'm more than happy to work with you, you know? So like just being able to say that on this episode tells everyone who I can work with. So this is what we started doing with our marketing funnel.
So I pretty much need to do an episode where I talk about who I work with and who I don't work with.
Exactly. That's exactly it, right? And if people are like, so, you know, who's your ideal client? You could send them to that episode.
Right.
Or like,
love that.
Yeah. And so that's what we decided to do. We realized that the marketing funnel's job, like everyone thinks the marketing funnel is to bring in leads, but they're missing the point where it's to bring in qualified leads. So you have to add filters, you know?
Yes. Because if you try to work with people who don't qualify, who don't meet whatever standard that you're looking for, you will become overwhelmed, burned out, exhausted, resentful, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And then they're not invested because they're too lazy to give their time. They're not giving you, you know, your money or whatever. So it's not good. It's really not good. And I say that from experience.
Yeah. And the idea of the marketing funnel, if it's done right, is to weed out all the, like, it allows the trash to take itself out. For lack of a cleaner way to put this, it's like people eliminate themselves before ever approaching you. So when they come to you, they're in a situation where I am now, where people come to me and they say, hey, I know what your team does. I know that you're not a light investment. What can you do for my show specifically? And then we talk about it. We get straight down to the nitty gritty. Sometimes we talk about my child, which is fun if it's a very personable person. But if not, we're straight down to business right away. And then the only thing that comes up is like, my price does not float around freely online.
Right.
None of my clients tell their friends what they pay.
And because you like to have that conversation with people.
I do, because every need requires a different level of service, but what's our done for you, like complete done for you, is always the same price, right? So like, if I have a price increase, I can tell a person, and even if they came from a previous client, that person's not like, oh, really? So-and-so told me such and such.
Right.
No, we don't do that, you know? So like, that's one of the things that I set up very early on, is I said, listen, if I'm going to give you a deal, I can't have you telling anyone else ever.
Now, some people feel that, and I've gone back and forth on this, putting your prices on the web will help you pre-qualify.
It does. It very much does. And that is up to you. It's very much up to you.
Well, that didn't help me make my decision. Thanks.
Some of this stuff comes down to your own personal preference. There's no miraculous golden solution for everyone, right? So I don't like to put my prices out because I like to get on the phone and talk to people about pricing in case it's a matter of, well, I don't really need show notes. I like to write my own. Well, my price might discourage them from calling at all, you know, like that kind of thing. So like, and rather than map out like a 40-page detailed description of what everything costs and how it would combine, I'd rather get on the phone and be like, what do you need anyway? And then when they
a lot of sense.
Yeah, and then when they tell me what they need, I can tell them the price. And because they already walked in expecting to pay, very rarely do people say, oh, like, that's more than I was expecting. It happens once in a while, but more often than not, I get, really? That's it? You do all that for that? Okay, here's my card.
Yeah, that's how you got me.
Because people are expecting to pay a hell of a lot more than that for what we do, because we set that tone.
I love that. Okay.
So when they get to us and they figure out that the price is substantially less than they were initially thinking it would be, still a lot of money, but it's like, like I've had people say it's a couple thousand a month less than what they thought they'd be paying.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, okay, we're not even in the triple digits yet, man.
But wait, we will be soon.
But again, if people want websites and all that stuff, yes, obviously it's going to get into the thousands. But for the most part, for just done for you stuff, no, we're not there yet. And that's okay. But people come in expecting like $1,000 plus, which makes our sale really easy at the end of the day.
Because they already have it in their mind that they're going to invest at least such and such amount. And you know what? I was wondering, maybe I'll put, my starting prices, like for my branding services, starting at such and such amount of money. So they know they have a baseline and they know depending on exactly what they need.
Yes. So that
change.
baseline, the only way that would backfire is if the starting at wasn't very clear. You see it in retail all the time. People coming in, I thought this was $6.99. No, it's starting at $6.99. So you would need to make sure that your starting at is very clear. But for the most part, like let's say you wanted to start your basic program at like $5,000, let's say, to get the brand, but without that raving subculture underneath it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say that's 5,000. You won't do it for less than $5,000. Well, you can say starting at $5,000, or programs from $5,000 and up.
Yeah.
That kind of thing you can do. You just got to make sure it's really clear. That way, at the end of a pitch, people aren't sitting there going, whoa, that was more than I expected. Because you can always negotiate down. It's a lot harder to negotiate
up. Okay. And that's where split testing comes in.
Yep, that's the truth. You can run things and see where people come from and what landing page they land on.
And what gets them on the call.
Right. See, for me, it's a little easier at this point because my marketing is designed with, hey, just reach out. Mm-hmm. So when people want to get on a call, Jesse and I were in the middle of doing a live, that Are You a Good Host thing. And I was like reaming on about like, you need to be coachable. You need to be willing to learn. You need to be willing to listen. You need to be willing to integrate. And then ding, a message came up and Jesse and I are both admins. So we both got it and we both stopped and looked at it. And it was a woman saying, hi, Scott, watching your live. I need to talk to you about your editing services. Because it was my producer and I sitting there talking about what we think makes a good host. Do you think that person's going to jump into my inbox and be a crummy host? Mm-mm. Probably not. What we were saying in that live resonated with them. And we talked about investment in that live. So she caught that live and messaged us on the back end of that live. She knows what we're about, right? So
I think I'm gonna share a link. Do you mind if I share the link to that live?
It's not my favorite live, I'll be honest with you. It was our first run at doing this format, so I'm going to be changing it. I'm going to be doing different things with different lives and things like that. I'm probably going to be taking that one down, but because some of the stuff we mentioned in there was time sensitive. Mm-hmm. But I will definitely give you an example. I'll do a better live as an example, and I'll give you the link to that for the show notes. Okay,
it doesn't have to be perfect, and just seeing like that first one is good too, because it's like, okay, he just did this live and he got somebody. He didn't overcomplicate it. It wasn't perfect, but he got a client.
Yeah, no, the reason why I want to remove this one is because Jesse, I love him, but his computer was dying, and so the fan was extremely loud. And while I was talking about like good hosts protect their guests' listener experience. So I was like, you know what? You're turning me into a hypocrite right now, you guest. And, Jesse's like, our hosts just need to tell their guests to quiet down. So it was like, it really felt like a disservice to the people tuning in. So I want to do another one that's not completely flooded with background noise and making us look bad. If you want the honest.
Makes sense. Thank you.
That's another thing.
Because I was just going to go hijack the video and post it anyway. But now that you explained it.
You know what? When I say no, there's a reason. I always have a good reason. But yeah, like that's another thing is make sure your content is congruent to the message you're trying to send, right? If you're telling people that you want top quality, but your content's not top quality, you are an obvious liar. So like, don't get out there and make content that's incongruent because it'll turn people off too. So just, experiment, have fun. But if you're getting people who are not qualified, it's not your sales funnel. your marketing funnel is a problem.
Oh, explain the different components of the marketing funnel. Can you do that?
Okay, so from my understanding is a marketing funnel is the process up to a call. So typically it would start with your social media and anywhere that you can be discovered. So like a blog or YouTube channel, podcast, et cetera, et cetera. But for the most part, the highest discoverability is social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
It's social. So you would start by putting out content there that makes you the friends and types that you want to be around. So like you and I just discussed some of those ideas. The next thing you would want is links that lead to a place where they can get to know you better without you having to put in a bunch of effort.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be something like a podcast, you know, YouTube channel, blog. Those three things are three different mediums, but they take care of the same job. Your audience gets to know you there. Okay. Then you would want to link into a place where they can communicate with you if they want to. A lot of people use Facebook communities. Streamers use like Discord and stuff like that. I use an email list, right? People can go to podcastbay.net, click, I already have a podcast, and then they can hear from me every day, which then gets them to know me better. But now they have the chance to hit reply and talk to me too, right?
Right.
So
Directly.
it deepens that communication. And that's where people start to play a little bit, ask questions, talk to you, you know, talk about, sometimes they'll ask you, so what would you charge for this? And that's when I go, okay, I'd like to get on a sales call. Right there, my marketing funnel moves over to my sales funnel.
Ah, smart.
Okay. And that's what people don't realize is because they think the sales funnel starts at the landing page or that moment that person asks to get on a call, one or the other. But anything before that is marketing funnel.
Because they got to know who the hell you are first. And then they got to figure out if they like you.
Yeah. So in our email list, like I keep a journal of how the business is growing. I break down our podcast stats outright. Like you've seen what we do in the email list, and I've talked about it a lot on the show. But like I always tell people, hey, we're going to look over your SEO if you want to see how your show notes stack up. It's going to cost this much. Feel free to reach out. If no one does, no one does. But a lot of the times people hit reply and they'll be like, man, I've got $50 to figure out how my show notes are doing, you know, in compared to SEO or this or that. Can you have Jacqueline take a look at them?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So then my email marketing funnel is telling people, this is what we charge. This is who we are. This is what we do all day long. Right. So people are getting the expectation that, yeah, if you want Podcast Bay, that like everything they do costs money. Like, that's just it. It's like if we have to work, we charge for it, right? And so now people listening into this episode know that Jacqueline looks at show notes for like the content is doing its job. Like so, this people who listen to this, if they want show notes, if they want the list, they're gonna go, and that's how it works. If people are liking what I'm saying and they want to connect with me, they're gonna join the mailing list, right?
And then they know the services you offer.
Right.
Versus what someone else offers.
Right. And then they're going to get all kinds of value, but they're also going to get opportunities to work with me or talk to me or connect with me. Or if I'm doing a live somewhere or an event somewhere, they're going to get the chance to meet up with me and they're going to know about it because they've decided to join the mailing list where I talk about it. Mm-hmm. Right. And then if and when they ever decide to buy, and luckily most of the people who follow me, they're somehow invested, you know. If and when they decide to buy, it's an easy choice for them because they already have all the information. People are rushing to the customer as quickly as possible, even if they're the wrong customer.
Oh.
Instead of taking time to build relationships with the right ones.
Oh my goodness. I can go on a soapbox about that. And something as simple as how it looks on Facebook. You friend somebody and then they're in your messenger like, hey, buy from me or whatever. It's like, man, can you build a relationship first?
It's disgusting and it doesn't work. Like,
I actually had someone in my inbox and they were like, I love what you're doing. Do you need help with personal branding? And I'm like, that's what I fucking do. So apparently you didn't read shit. You really didn't read it. You just said you love what I do, just as like filler words.
And then offered my own service back to me.
Yeah. And just, oh my gosh. That's like a direct sales company saying, hey, do you want candles? When I made my own damn candles. It's like, really? Come on.
Oh.
And it's obvious. All it takes is like 5 seconds of your time to figure out what I'm about and continue the conversation.
I'm glad podcast producers are a little more savvy about that, because I would mess with them if anyone ever did that to me. Scott, would you like, I love what you do. Would you like to have podcast production services done for you? I'd be like, would you be open to a skill trade? I'll produce some shows for you if you produce some shows for me of equal value.
And sometimes I go off on the people. I'm like, let me tell you everything that's wrong with what you're doing right now.
I don't even bother, because if they're doing it, they're clearly not on the level they need to be to understand why it's wrong.
True that.
Yeah. So chances are they learned it from someone they idolize, and there's no way you are going to break them. You're just the dumb customer, or the dumb non-customer who didn't buy. So you don't even have the relationship to be able to get on your soapbox and tell them what to do, because they don't care. So don't even waste your time.
But then, I'll post it on my regular profile or something, and I teach other people, like, this is what you don't do. And this is how you do it better.
That's fun. Calling people out publicly is a blast.
Yeah.
As long as you block out their name.
Right. Everything has a purpose when I do it. If I'm taking time to do it, it has a purpose.
Yeah. But I think that, like, people are spending too much time tweaking their sales funnels when it's their marketing funnels that need the work. And I think just if you take time to see how can you put across the message of who you want to work with, they'll start identifying themselves, and then you'll have a way easier time with your sales. That's that.
So next we're going to talk about sales funnels.
Calls. I want to do sales calls next, because they're fun.
All right, there we go. Yeah. So stay tuned for sales calls and how they fall into the whole funnel situations. Thanks again, Scott, for telling us about your experience with the marketing funnel and what you learned.
Yeah, no problem. And if I learn anything else cool, I'll be sure to bring it up.
All righty. So whoever's listening, hey, if you want to work on your marketing funnels, definitely reach out to Scott, or you can reach out to me. I'm the one that puts all the pretty things together in your funnels and make things connect and automate them. And then Scott can tell you about the strategy behind them. So definitely reach out to one of us. And all of our links are in the show notes. And thanks again for listening. Love ya.
Thank you for tuning in to the TrepTECH Podcast. But if you like what you heard, go on to Apple Podcast and bring her a 5-star review. And also, if you want to check out her service while she transforms mindsets, navigating entrepreneurship, leveraging technology, building relationships while bridging the gap in your business, check out TrepTECHacademy.com. That's TrepTECHacademy.com.